welcome back. Now we're going to work the machine pieced square and square blocks. So you've got your pattern in front of you, and I'm going to give you some tips on piecing, embellishing, and quilting, section 2. Okay, so you have your butterfly blocks assembled with the sashing in between them. You've chain pieced your little bitty blocks as per your pattern, and you're going to want to join them with sashing. And then you're going to join the row of bitty blocks to the bottom of the butterfly blocks with another strip of sashing, and all of these measurements are found in your pattern. And then you're going to add this piece of sashing onto the bottom of the whole unit. We're going to be joining this to the top of section 1, so we're going to talk about cutting that and dealing with the quilting on that later. But for now, this was what your top will look like completely assembled. And we've got to quilt it now. So you're going to make a sandwich with a backing and a batting that's 1 inch bigger on all sides. So just cut your backing and your batting 2 inches bigger than your top. Sandwich it, pin it in the corners and along the sides. And you're going to first start by ditching every seam line here. The butterfly blocks I did free motion quilting on. The bitty blocks I just ditched. So when I was ditching with my walking foot, then I also ditched all of these lines in here, and that is all the quilting I did because we are embellishing the middle blocks. The butterfly blocks, I did do some organic unmarked free motion quilting, and I want to draw out for you what I did. I took a green, just a mid-value green, or you could even do a multi-green, and I outlined this butterfly. I didn't go into the butterfly at all, I just outlined them. Okay, and then with the same thread, I just started to make some of those organic shapes that we did in the section 1 quilting. So that's a way to mimic some of the motifs that you've already done. That brings some continuity to the whole piece, those subtle little lines. And you can just run it and just kind of make some curves. They're just little reminiscence of grassy pieces is what these are. And don't go this fast, of course. Remember, we talked about you can stop at a point and think through where you're going to go next. And this all can be done in one long thread. Okay, and that's it. And then stop at the end of one of the blocks. You'll stop there, cut and tie off how you normally would, and then just do the same thing on the other 2 blocks. And that's it for the quilting. And now we can talk about embellishing these center squares and give you some fun options for that. Okay, so now that you've got your section 2 all quilted, it's time to add some fun embellishments. So here on this butterfly, since I did no actual machine quilting inside, I decided to just go ahead and do some hand embroidery with just lots of different kinds of flosses. Also, I put in a needle felt butterfly body. That pattern is in your, that template is in your pattern. Here on this side, I actually did some different embroidery and added some beads to it. Then the needle felt bodies, if you don't know how to needle felt, you can find a demo for that on my YouTube channel. These bitty blocks, now this is really fun. These little 2-inch blocks are a great way to play with some collections, or you know, a great way for you to personalize your quilt. Think of them as little canvases. On the first quilt that I did, I used shisha mirrors and embroidered around them. And on this one, I decided to do some beaded beadwork. And both of those tutorials can be found on my YouTube channel as well. But if you don't want to do those and put that extra handwork into it, that is fine, because you could raid your own personal stash of goodies you've collected. I've got a bunch of different buttons here and some old brooches. So this is an earring that I think I just have one left, and he would look awesome on this zoo quilt. And he's way too heavy to wear for an earring, so it's perfect place for him. Also, I've got these little buttons, wooden buttons. You know, you don't have to keep all of them the same, especially like in this case, I only have one of those. You can audition different elements for the centers of these little squares. and just have fun playing with that. It's a great way to personalize your quilt. So once you've decided on that and your top is all done and embellished, what you're going to want to do is trim your block. Now the exact instructions for trimming this block are in your pattern, but the one thing that I just wanted to point out that you have to do to be able to join this to section 1 is you can see down here I've got a little bit of extra batting and backing sticking out. So when you go to trim your block to the size that's mentioned in your pattern, make sure that you are leaving that extra 1/4 of an inch of batting and backing to be able to join these sections together. And then so next up I'm gonna show you how to actually join these sections with a non-bulky seam, since they're both quilted. Okay, so now you've got your 2 sections trimmed to exactly the same width. You've got your butterfly section on the top with your extra backing and batting. Make sure you line them up on your table so that you don't sew this on upside down. That's what I have to do. And you're just gonna flip this over, putting the right sides together. Now to pin this, you're going to pull the backing and the batting just from the joining piece, section 2, away. You're going to pin the top layer of section 2 to all 3 layers of section 1. And just pin that every few inches or so is quite enough. And then take your walking foot, if you have a walking foot, just put that on there because that'll keep everything feeding through your machine evenly. And stitch your 1/4 of an inch seam all the way down. And then we're going to come back here and I'm going to show you what to do with the backing and the batting. Okay, so this is all sewn together now, and I've pressed that little seam just to flatten it out a little bit. And here we're left with the batting and the backing. All you're going to do is match your batting up to the seam, to the edge, the raw edge of section 1, and you're just going to trim that extra batting away. So what'll happen is that this batting will lay flat against section 1 raw edges. So everything is perfectly flat and there's no batting that overlaps. Best to just do this flat on a table with these duckbill applique scissors, and that way you won't have any sharp points that cut into your first section. All right, and then once that is completely cut away, all you're going to do here is fold this under one time and match that fold up to the seam line, press that in place, and hand applique that down. And your section 1 and 2 are joined, and now you have a new unit that you can hang on your design wall. We'll see you back next time to continue our trip through our Nouveau. Thank you so much.